Okay, so what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is something I've been thinking about recently. The next thing that I've been thinking about is, what is the sun? How does it work? What really is it? The reason that I've been thinking about this is, in some of my documentaries you may have seen, I've covered this in earlier parts about how man can only get to 100,000 feet at the most, and that at anywhere near those altitudes, rockets and jets burn out every time, and so nobody can get up that high, and we can't get up near the sun, and nobody apparently knows what really it is. And I've recently put forth and agreed with the idea that it is a parabolic reflection. So this was recently laid out in the large movie that I did, that was the work with Paul Chief's work. So what I've done is, having looked at that now, I can see how this explanation explains how the sun works, but most importantly, it explains the seasons. This is the thing that's been tripping me up about the sun, is how does it create its corkscrew pattern around the pole? Because any type of a three-dimensional object that had to float through space in real time, or through actual space, would be a strange object doing that. It would be strange that it would be an actual object, and that it would be hanging and floating out in space like that for no particular reason. So a lot of things about the sun have puzzled me, and I guess other people, for thousands of years. So I agree now with this idea that it is a reflection within the parabolic dome of the dome, and I'm going to show you how it is and how it explains the seasons and the corkscrew pattern of the sun. Okay, so what you're looking at now is the pole beam, the beam that comes from the energy, the source that comes from the North Pole. I've talked about this earlier, about that the North Pole, there's a lot more going on there than what they'll let us know, and this is why they blocked off the North Pole and the South Pole. So at the North Pole is a pyramid, or some sort of an object there, and it's the lodestone. It's the magnetic lodestone that is Mount Meru at the center of our Earth, and it is putting out a light source, or a power source, that's invisible through, and this is what all the symbology of the pyramid is in the pole, in the center pole, and it's putting out all this energy straight up, and it may not be visible light to us when it's coming out of that beam. As it goes up and hits on a reflector, like a disco ball is a great example of it, as it hits on that reflector and is shot parabolically at the edge of the dome, and it sticks to the dome. Because it's such a bright, powerful source, to us it appears to be a hot, real object, when really it's just the focused beam of light on the dome itself. So what you're looking at when you're looking at the sun is not a three-dimensional floating object. It is just light bouncing off the dome and being perfectly collected on the dome in that spot.
Now let's see the effect of a simple reflecting surface used to control light. The rays leave their source, strike the reflector, and bounce back on themselves in the same path. Then if we place a lens like this in the path of the light, the rays are bent inward. Now let's try another type of lens, similar to the lens used in automobile headlights. Instead of bringing the rays together at a point, this lens bends them so they go out in parallel lines.
Now is how that works, as the beam that you see here is being beamed at the dome, and it's turning along the dome. You only have to adjust the height slightly on that beam to make the sun take a higher or lower position in the sky. And so this is the reason that it explains the seasons perfectly. You know, it would have to be an up-down pattern on the dome to create the corkscrew effect that we see between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer, between winter and summer. So what I'm going to show you now is how that works. As the beam that you see here is being beamed at the dome, and it's turning along the dome, you only have to adjust the height slightly on that beam to make the sun take a higher or lower position in the sky, and therefore, to us, a more northern or more southern position. So throughout the year it only has to fluctuate the tiniest bit, that beam, to make it arc all the way around the bowl, the inside of the bowl, much more easily. So I'm going to show you it here, just with a bowl and a light.
Okay guys, here we are. How you doing? This is Flatwater. You can see my home a little bit anyways. Alright, so this is our analog for the dome and our reflector within it. So what I'm gonna do now, hello puppy, how you doing? What I'm gonna do now is show you guys the path of the sun along the bowl. I'm gonna show you it from the outside just because it's easier, and then I'll show you from the inside what the North Pole is doing and how the light is interacting and reflecting off the inside of the dome. So what the problem is here is that if the sun, if we consider that the top of the bowl here, this path would be the summer path, the tighter path of the sun happening in the summer. To get it to spin in a small arc and then somehow widen its arc as if it were on some sort of a mechanical gear that would affect the radius that it took. So what I'm proposing, what I believe now, is that the light is actually coming, the source of the light's power is coming directly from the North Pole, beaming straight up into some sort of a focal reflector here. And at that point, it's being shot into the inside of the dome. So you can picture that as it's coming up the center of the dome and being reflected, it only needs that slight reflection to take the summer course, and to adjust for the winter, that beam only needs to adjust the tiniest bit. It only needs to tilt down the tiniest bit from within inside the dome to affect the light and push it much further out towards the winter time path that we see. There's the light source going straight up to the center, and you can see that that would cover the summer, and if the light is just slightly bent down, by the reflector. It'll widen its arc, and we will experience wintertime. So it requires no, difficult mechanical apparatuses with gearing to change it. There would still be some gearing, but it would make such a smaller change necessary to make the actual course correction. So I hope that was simple enough for everybody. Thanks for watching, guys. Ciao.
Now let's see the effect of a simple reflecting surface used to control light. The rays leave their source, strike the reflector, and bounce back on themselves in the same path. Then if we place a lens like this in the path of the light, the rays are bent inward. Now let's try another type of lens, similar to the lens used in automobile headlights. Instead of bringing the rays together at a point, this lens bends them so they go out in parallel lines.